tuned into Gtany Network. This is the man Gtany, and this video is for fresh beginners, people who are just starting out on guitar. If there is a technique you would like to learn, please leave a comment down below and I will try my best to structure a lesson around it. I hope this video helps you learn. And this is the Gtany music segment, guitar lessons. And here to help me with the guitar lessons is the Gbot 1.0. Gbot, activate. Gbot
1.
Rebooting. I am Gbot 1.0. I want to help you learn guitar. Okay, now that that's settled, welcome to session 1 of Gtany guitar lessons. Today we're going to dive into the basics of guitar. And for extracurricular, I'll throw in a little study on the C chord. Okay, let's begin. This is a zoom in of the whiteboard that is sitting behind me in Gbot. This is a drawing of the neck of your guitar. On the neck of your guitar, there are 6 strings.
6 strings!
Guitars usually have 6 strings. Some guitars may have more. Let's take a look at the standard tuning for a 6-string guitar. If you're holding your guitar in your hand right now, the smallest string towards the bottom is tuned to the note E. The second string up is tuned to the note B. The third string up is tuned to the note G. The fourth string up is tuned to the note D. The fifth string up is tuned to the note A. And the biggest string at the top is also tuned to E, a lower octave E.
Okay, this stage is for fresh beginners, people who are just starting out. Tomato off the plant fresh. Minty fresh! How to strum. To properly hold a pick, you will bend your index finger like so. Then you will place the pick over the crease near the tip of your finger. Then you will overlap your thumb and grip the pick like so. So when you are holding your pick, your hand should look like this. And now you're ready to go. Glide the pick across the strings you wish to play. Now that you know how to hold a pick, next is learning how musical notes are labeled.
As some of you may or may not know, in music, notes are labeled with the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So basically the alphabet, but stopping at the letter G. In the next session, we will learn how to read notes. Now, we're going to take a look at the existing notes in music. Once again, musical notes are labeled using the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Let's break down the system into its individual parts. In this system, there's what is called half steps and whole steps. We will start with the half steps, starting with the note A.
the note A, when it moves up half a step, it becomes A sharp or B flat. A sharp and B flat are the same note, so when you see these two, they're the same note. A half a step from A sharp and or B flat is a natural B. Here comes the interesting part about this system. A half step up from B is C. There are no B sharps and there are no C flats. A half step up from C is C sharp and D flat. Just like with A and B, C sharp and D flat are the same note. A half step up from C sharp and D flat is a natural D. A half step up from D is D sharp and E flat. Once again, when you see the notes D sharp and E flat, they are the same note. It just depends on which direction you're going in. If you're going backwards, you would call it, at your choice, E flat. If you're going forward, in the alphabetical musical scale is what I would call it, you would call it D sharp. So a half step up from D sharp and or E flat is a natural E. Once again, we have another set of notes that don't have flats or sharps. E does not have a sharp, F does not have a flat. From E, a natural E, it goes to a natural F. A half step up from F is F sharp and or G flat. The same with the other notes. When you see an F sharp and a G flat, they are the same note. It all depends on which direction you're going. If you're going from G to A, you would call it G flat. That's your choice. If you're going from A to G, you would call it F sharp. Once again, it's your choice. When you get to the end of the system, which is the note G, it goes back around to A. So a half a step up from G is G sharp and or A flat. And a half a step up from G sharp and or A flat goes back to A. Now let's take a look at whole steps. Whole steps are basically notes with a half step in between them. So let's start once again with the letter A. A whole step from A will be a natural B. In between those two, as you saw earlier, is A sharp and B flat. A whole step from B is not C, though this is a natural C. Remember, C, natural C, is a half step up from B. So a whole step from B will be C sharp or D flat. Once again, basically whole steps are notes with a half step in between them. So you have to pass one half step and then to the next note and you have your whole step. A whole step up from C sharp and D flat is D sharp and E flat. You are skipping over the natural D, because from C sharp and D flat, D is a half step. So you skip that half step to the whole step, which is a D sharp. So once again, you're going from D flat and or C sharp to E flat or D sharp. A whole step from D sharp or E flat is F. Once again, natural E, natural F, but F is a half step up from E. E and F, just like B and C, F does not have a flat. E does not have a sharp. Therefore, you would skip over the E, which would be considered a half step at this point, and go to the F. From the F, a whole step from the F, is G. The half step in between them is F sharp and G flat. And the whole step from G is going to take you all the way back around to A. Because remember, a half step in between. The half step between them is G sharp and A flat. So the system takes you all the way back around to A. So showing you all that, basically, a whole step is notes with a half step in between them. When you look at the neck of your guitar, you'll notice that it's divided into sections. These sections are called frets. When you look on the side of the neck, your guitar may have markings, sometimes 2 dots marking certain frets. And the usual frets that are marked is frets number 3, 5, 7, and so on. Today we're just going to go all the way up to fret number 3. We will be learning to play the C chord using this system. Your guitar has 6 strings. Each string is a note using this system that was shown earlier. In this session, we will just be going up to the 3rd fret. So we're going to take a look at the first 4 notes on your guitar neck. You play these notes by pressing down on the strings in the fret. In this system, you see that I started from the letter A and continuously went a half step up. When it comes to your instrument, like the guitar, this can start from anywhere. If you're wondering why I'm saying the first 4 notes, and there's only 3 frets, that's because the open string is the first note. So that's playing the string without pressing your finger down on one of the frets. So that's the open string, 2, 3, 4. Let's start with the small string. Each fret is a half a step up from the next note, just like I showed in the system. The little string is played open, and that's an E. If you press the first fret, that's a half a step up. And what's a half a step up from E? Let's take a look. A half a step up from E is F. So the first fret is the note F. A half a step up from F would be the 2nd fret. Let's take a look. A half a step up from F is F sharp or G flat. So the 2nd fret is F sharp or G flat. Let me go ahead and write that down. Feel free to pause the screen to take a look at the notes when this is all done. And now, the final fret that we're stopping at today for each string, the 3rd fret. Half a step up from F sharp and or G flat is G. So the 3rd fret on the littlest string is the note G. So it goes E, F, F sharp, G flat, and G. The next string, B. Remember, each fret is a half step up from the previous note. The open string on the 2nd string up is B.
So the first fret is half a step up from B. What is a half a step up from B? Let's take a look at B. Because the system, you can use it starting from anywhere. A half a step up from B is a natural C. So the first fret on the B string is a C. The second fret, what's a half a step up from C? A half a step up from C is C sharp or D flat. Okay? The third fret, another half a step up. What is a half a step up from C sharp or D flat? D. The third fret on the B string is the note D. Of course, if you want to find the other notes, you can continue to use this system you see here. So I'm going to go slow so you can play it back in the video. The third string. Remember, each fret is a half a step up. So half a step up from G is G sharp and or A flat. A half a step up from G sharp and or A flat is A. So the second fret is the note A. The third fret, another half a step up, and that is a half a step up from A, that is A sharp and or B flat. The fourth string, half a step up from D, is D sharp, E flat. The second fret, half a step up from D sharp, E flat, is E. Third fret, half a step up from E, is F. Fifth string, A. Half a step up from A is A sharp, B flat. Half a step up from A sharp, B flat is B. Third fret, half a step up from B is C. The sixth and final string, the low E. You can apply the same notes that you applied to the little e. The only difference is the notes just sound lower. So just like with the little e,
The half step up from E is F. On the first fret. On the second fret, the half step up from F is F sharp, G flat. Okay. A half step up from F sharp, G flat is G. So if you want to continue to discover the other notes, you can use the system that was shown earlier. But in this session, we're stopping at fret number 3. Now that you know the notes, and I'm going to pan slowly so you can review the video later. Okay. Alright, now you know the notes on the first 3 frets of all your strings. Let's dive into the C chord. A chord
C chord
is when you play 2 or more notes at the same time. On the guitar, that's when you press down 2 or more strings on different frets and strum them at the same time. Let's go to G-bot for an example. Let's take a look at the notes in a C chord. We're going to start with the highest. The highest note is on the littlest string, the E, and you will play it just like that. You won't be pressing down on any frets. Highest note is the E. The next note is on the second string up, the B. You'll be pressing down on the first fret. That note is a C. And you will press that down with your index finger. The next string up is the G string. On that string, you will be playing that just like the E string, open. So that note is a G. Next string up is the D string. On that string, you will be pressing down on the second fret. That note is an E. You will press that note down with your middle finger. And the last and fifth note is on the A string, the fifth string up. And you will be pressing down on the third fret. That one is a low C. Some people, when they play their C chord, they like to play the sixth string, the E string, to add an extra note to the C chord. And that note is pressed on the third fret. That one is optional. That note is a low G. But today, you're just going to play it on only 5 strings. So don't worry about the G. So once again, your notes are the open E on the first fret, your index finger, the C, the open G on the third string, the fourth string, the second fret with your middle finger, the fifth string, the A. You're going to press down on the third fret
with your ring finger, making the low C. And that is your C major chord. Let's go to Gbot for an example. We just learned the C major chord. Next, we're going to learn the C7 chord and the C minor chord. In the C7 chord, there's a trick to learning what the 7 means.
7.
Earlier, I told you that musical notes are labeled using the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So in the C7 chord, it's the same notes as the C chord. As I showed you, the open E, the first fret C on the B string, the open G on the G string, the second fret on the D string, the E, and the third fret on the A string, the C. Now you're going to add a seventh. To find the seventh, you take a look at the bass note of a chord. In the C chord, the bass note is C. Remember that when you end at G, you start back around to A. So we're going to count to 7, starting with the letter C. C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, the 7th note away from C is B. Now, the next step is to determine whether the note is a B flat or natural B.
And the answer is A sharp B flat. A sharp B flat is the 7th of the C chord.
And just like that, you have your C7 chord, with the 7th being the A sharp and or B flat. So you're basically playing the C chord, you're just adding your pinky to the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, the G string. Okay, now for the C minor chord. The last chord, and the last thing we're going to be learning in this session. The C minor chord usually has notes that are fretted past the 3rd fret. But because today on each string we only learn notes going up to the 3rd fret, we're going to be playing the C minor chord that fits within these frets. Let's start with the highest note on the C minor chord. That note is going to be on the 3rd fret of the littlest string, the E string. And you're going to press that down with your pinky finger. That note is a G. Now we're moving up to the next note. Onto the 2nd string up, the B string. You will be pressing the 1st fret with your middle finger. That note will be a C. The next note up is what you would call an open note, because you won't be pressing anything. You're just playing that G, that string, the G string. And the last note on this 3-fretted, or the last note of the C minor chord on the first 3 frets, is on the D string. You will be pressing the 1st fret with your index finger. And that note is a D sharp E flat. Once again, for the C minor chord, you have your high G, your C,
your lower octave G, and your D sharp E flat. If you'd like, you only have to strum 4 strings for this chord. But you can add that A if you want to. It actually sounds pretty nice on that chord.
The image seen here is showing how the C minor chord is normally played. What is seen is called a bar chord. As you can see, some of the notes are fretted past the 3rd fret. But in this video, you learned the version of the C minor chord that is played within the first 3 frets of the guitar.
Well, that's it for our session today. I hope I helped you learn today. G-Bot, play the C chord. Play the C7. Play the C minor chord. G-Bot, shut down. I want to thank you for tuning in to Gtany Network. Best wishes and goodbye.